Today we're talking about the pros and cons of living in Australia as Brits.
And just before we get into it, we want to say that some of these points may not apply to everyone. This is just our personal experience.
Straight into pro number one, we have quality of life. Now this might be one of the most important points, or probably the most important point we have today. The quality of life in Australia has quite honestly changed our lives and the way we live our lives. One thing we can say for sure is that since being in Australia, our mental health has improved so much.
So much. And I think the main reason for this is because we actually, in our experience, have had more time just to live our lives. Like, we're not as consumed by work. I think the weather plays a massive part in this as well.
Massive. It's safe to say the weather, I mean, you guys might correct us on this, but pretty much all year round, apart from a few states, the weather is good. I think that contributes to the culture of Australia being like an outdoors culture. It's so much easier to be outdoors without like the weather ruining your plans, which ultimately means a lot more people are outdoors. You know, you're feeling good, you're in the sun, you're outside, you're not trapped somewhere. And look, that may be because it's different to us. Maybe if you're born in Australia, it could be a completely different thing.
Maybe you're so used to it, yeah.
But for us, the better day-to-day life comes with a little trade-off. And this takes us straight into the first con of living in Australia as Brits. And that is, you know, the homesickness, the loneliness, and being away from family, unless your family lives here. But for us, our experience, our family lives in England. So a lot of the time we're without them. We're just calling them through FaceTime, that sort of thing.
And I think it's also kind of, as amazing as FaceTime is, it's hard because of the time difference. I think that kind of amplifies it, the time difference and like the distance between Australia and the UK specifically. In times where you feel like, oh, I just really need to call my mum or dad right now, you might have to wait 8 hours until they're awake.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just pick up the phone all the time and call them when you need them.
Or just go and see them.
Or just pop around and see them. Like, it's a 30-hour plane ride away.
And we know a lot of British people move from the UK to Australia, and you know, they're really excited to, you know, get away from it all and get to Australia and have this better life. But I think the main thing to remember is, yes, a lot of these things can happen and it's really positive. But at the same time, you do still miss home, and there's a massive, massive culture shock moving to Australia.
Swiftly moving on back to positives. Pro number 2 is kind of a funny one, and it helped us feel a little more settled, I think, when we first arrived. And that is the sense of humour in Australia. If you're from the UK, you're gonna find it quite similar, quite familiar, and I think it's going to help you settle in.
Well, at least in our experience, the main way we've seen this is through YouTube, right? We didn't think anyone was going to get our humour. We thought we were quite niche when it came to humour. We're quite dry.
Ready?
Yeah.
It's kind of poetic, really, that we started our lap in the wind, the rain, and the cold.
Yeah.
And now we're finishing it in the wind, the rain, and the cold.
That's right.
But I hate poems.
That was your punchline?
Yeah.
That was awful. That was so bad.
Turns out a lot of Australians, or at least a lot of Australians we've interacted with, have got our humour straight away, and they've actually had the same humour, which has been really nice. Which kind of, because when you come to a new country, you kind of think like, am I gonna, you know, gel with people? Are they gonna understand my jokes?
Am I gonna be misinterpreted?
Yeah, and you might come across as a bit rude, especially if you've got a drier sense of humour. Yeah. But actually, in our experience, we found Australians have an amazing sense of humour that really matches the sense of humour we had back home with our friends.
And it's not just always the jokes either, like it's the whole social style, I think, is very similar. Like, people are deadpan, so are, like, they also are in the UK. People will give you a bit of stick, like you'll give it back, and it's actually a sign that you're getting on, like they like you. So I think for us, that was just so comforting because we didn't really have to like step on eggshells with the way that we joke around or like kind of interact socially.
If you are Australian, let us know. Have we just found our little group of people that relate to our humour? Or is this like an Australian-wide thing? With that being said, even if the humour is pretty similar, there is a lot of ways that the British and the Aussies differ. And one of them is slang, which brings us on to con number 2.
That the accents plus the slang equals maybe a bit of a mini misunderstanding for us, but it's quite amusing.
A lot of the time it is quite funny. So I think one example for me is when I first went into a workplace and I was trying to say like the time. And I would say to people, yeah, the time is 5:30. And they would look at me a bit weird, as if to say, what are you on about 5:30? And I'd just be like, 5:30? What do you mean, what am I on about? And it was the same language, but it just meant something different. They say over here, 5:30. not 5:30, where it's a more common way to say the time, 5:30 than 5:30 or 6:30 than 6:30.
Yeah.
Afterwards, you can have a little laugh about it. But during the moment, you're a bit like...
What are you trying to say?
Yeah, like...
I guess 5:30, actually, without us even knowing, is probably slang in the UK.
Yeah.
That's probably like a variation of slang like that we put on the time because it's a lazy way of saying 5:30.
Yeah, 5:30 in a lot of European countries actually means
4:30.
4:30. So I guess we're the odd ones out here.
That can lead to some wild confusion, actually.
I think the last thing to touch on with this point would be the intonation that Australians use. The intonation of an Australian would be to come up at the end of a sentence. So they would be like, oh, how are you doing today, mate? But in the UK, you would say,
how you doing today, mate?
Yeah.
And you would go down at the end of a sentence.
We're
right?
quite flat with how we
Yeah.
word our, like, finish our sentences.
But
in the
Australians
UK.
will always go up. And what that leads us to think is they're always asking a question.
Oh,
because
yeah.
in the UK, if you're asking a question,
You
go with
say
the
up,
upwards
yeah.
intonation. When we call our family, this is the first thing they touch on every single time. They say, oh, you sound like an Australian. It's because of the intonation going upwards.
Our intonation's
Yeah.
changed now to match Australian. Now we'll move on to pro number 3, which is, in our opinion and our experience, making friends here feels so much easier.
And I think that says a lot about the Australian culture. I think everyone is, in general and in our experience, more friendly, more open to conversation. I think the social atmosphere and the social groups in Australia are more common. You've got running clubs. I know you have that in the UK. But
Yeah.
like, it's a lot easier to find a running club, I would say, in Australia. It's a lot easier to find a club in general, I think, in Australia, to go and meet friends. And I think just everywhere you go, we met so many friends on the road, we're traveling, and just things like that. It's just a lot easier here.
Yeah, people really seem more open to the idea of making friends as well.
The weather helps with that because you just go and organise something at the beach.
You can just have a picnic.
And even just off the top of my head, there's like, what, in Perth, Scarborough Beach, they have the morning, like, 6:30 yoga classes and stuff. Like, it's just so much easier. And it goes back to the point number 1, that with the weather as well, like, it's just so much easier to do things like that here in Australia. And that's just so good. And it really impacts the overall positivity of a community. So while socially it's felt easier, I think there are some things that can make settling in a bit harder, especially on certain visas, like the working holiday visa, which we're on.
Which brings us on to con number 3, job hunting on a working holiday visa. So if you're going into a hospitality role or a trade role, it's generally easier because you can hand your CV in physically in a lot of those jobs, which speeds up the process, makes it faster, because a lot of the time when you're applying online applications, it just gets lost in the whole sea of everyone else's online applications.
The way we found a lot of our jobs is by going and handing our CV out physically, but we haven't done this for corporate-like jobs. We've only ever done this for hospitality, bar work, restaurants, that sort of thing. I think that leads us on to, like, finding a job in a corporate environment is a lot harder, as you found out.
Yeah, I think mostly that comes down to just the limitations of the visa. A lot of corporate companies aren't going to want to hire you if you're on a working holiday visa because you do have that 6-month limit of an employer that you can work for. It's 6 months.
I just want to add there is if you're in the same place as well.
Yeah, if
you
you're in
can
the
work
same
for someone
place.
for longer than 6 months if you are in different places. So if you move state to state, but
With
if
the same
you are,
company,
if you are in one place, one office, you can only stay there for 6 months. And I think just specifically with a working holiday visa, employers will see this, and I completely understand why.
Yeah.
You see someone come in with a working holiday visa, you immediately think backpacker, transient traveller that is not going to stay and
Not
stick
as
around.
reliable,
And as an employer, why would you want that anyway?
When you can literally employ an Aussie resident who is
Australian.
living there.
Yeah,
Like,
so why on earth would you take someone, regardless of their qualifications, unless you're specifically coming over on a visa with skilled work, like a nurse or something like that, police officers, you tend to find the people on working holiday visas working in retail, hospitality, and honestly, I love working in
I love
retail and
working in hospitality, and I think the nature of just the hospitality role is just geared for more transient people because there's a high turnaround and they're able to have a high turnaround.
And just a quick one, if this is the first video you've ever clicked on from James and Josie, be sure to go and check out our Lap of Australia series. We have almost completed our Lap of Australia and we've documented every step of the way, so we'll leave a link for you in the description to go and check out that series.
And one more thing, we have noticed that only 12% of you that regularly watch our videos are subscribed.
Unbelievable.
It would mean a great deal to us if you hit that subscribe button so we can carry on making these videos.
Let's get straight into pro number 4, and that is a commonly talked about pro of Australia, the wildlife. And we're not just talking kangaroos and koalas, although they're pretty
awesome.
amazing, right? But we're talking about the whole experience of the wildlife in Australia.
And it's really vibrant wildlife in Australia because I think coming from the UK, the wildlife's great in the UK. Maybe you'll see like a pigeon here and there.
Well, no, give it some more credit. You might see a fox
or
somewhere.
If you're lucky, maybe you'll see a badger or a deer. But in Australia, I think just the diversity of wildlife is just next level. Like, and it's so much more accessible, so much more visible, like a lot of the time.
The thing is, you step outside your door in Australia and you're already confronted with some sort of wildlife, whether that's bird noises, it's probably going to be birds. Noises, right? Or that's just a kangaroo on the field across the road. Like, and we're not just talking like when you come out of the cities. These things happen inside the cities too. That's unheard of for the UK. A big thing for me though, and we touched on it lightly a second ago, is it's the birds. They make and I'm gonna miss that so much when we in Australia.
The birds are massive.
Noises.
Hang on.
Yeah, that's the thing that happens here.
Every morning there's a kookaburra making a sound. You go outside, there's a cockatoo croaking about. Is that the right word? Croaking?
It sounds like it is.
Yeah,
you know,
that's the noise they make. There's one going above you.
Yeah.
You know, the magpies are doing their little thing. They're doing their little dance and song. And like, it's just amazing. And that's just the birds. And then you go deeper into Australia and, you know, there's mammals laying eggs. Do you know what I mean? Like, where else do you see that in the world? You've got platypus, you've got echidnas, you've got crocodiles, cassowaries, if they even exist.
What the hell even is a cassowary?
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
come on,
crazy.
This is so cool.
And it just, I think it encourages people to, you know, explore more of the country, go on more road trips and just get out more, which then relates back to our other points.
Everything relates back. And also, can we add, like, the dolphins and whales that you can regularly see off the coast from the beach. Like, you're just on the beach. As if the beaches aren't good enough, there's dolphins in the water or there's a whale playing off the coast. Like, it's just unbelievable. And I think it just adds like a constant wow factor to like everyday life.
Yes, that's it, a wow factor.
And it's just good for the soul. It nurtures your happiness and like, it just brings so much joy just having these like incredible animals constantly fed into your day-to-day life. However, speaking of being outdoors surrounded by wildlife, we do have to warn you about one thing, and that is con number 4.
The flies.
And I know we talked about the wildlife being a really good thing, and it is, but the flies, they are next level, not in a good way. They are so intense, and also most Aussies also complain about this and cannot stand the flies as well. So you guys, I'm sure, will be on board with this. They're just so persistent in the, like, as soon as you're out of a city in a lot of places.
Yeah.
There's nothing I hate more
Then flies.
than flies.
Yeah, same. They're all in here now. All in your drawer.
I was trying to just, you know,
one with them?
embrace the experience. Because that's what travelling is all about, being uncomfortable and trying new things. But
This
the
isn't
flies,
no.
they're waiting. They wait on the door to the tent for you to get up. And then they just attack you. And then you get into the car and it's like you don't even get a break because the flies follow you into the car.
Everyone in the UK, when you go and say you're going to move to Australia, they say beware of the crocs, beware of the snakes, spiders, sharks.
No one is aware of the flies.
And I want to make everyone aware of the flies so they're mentally prepared for the trauma.
A real villain in Australia. And that is the horsefly. What do they call it here?
The March flies or the
March
May flies?
flies. March or May
March
flies, right?
I think.
Oh my gosh, if one of those things lands on you, you're gonna know about it. Yeah.
And like, we have horseflies back home in the UK and they bite. Like, I've been bitten by horseflies at home, but it's not as hard. And it's like, they're not as aggressive. Like, they're just, everything in Australia is like supersized.
If you are going to travel Australia, I think this one applies to people who are going out of the cities, and that will be buy a friggin' fly net.
A big fly net,
and some error guard,
Yeah.
you know, because we started our trip without any of these things and instantly regretted it.
And now, moving on to pro number 5. You don't even need to leave the country to experience vastly different landscapes.
As we have found out firsthand, you can do anything you want in Australia. I'm sorry, but you can. You can head to the desert, You can head to the rainforests. You can head to
The reefs. And you can ski.
You can
You
go
can literally ski.
to the snowy mountains.
Yeah. In Victoria, they have a ski resort.
Uh-huh.
And you can ski.
They have everything.
Everything.
Name me an environment they don't have here.
Yeah.
please.
I'm waiting because I can't think of one.
And in the UK, don't get us wrong, we do have some amazing, amazing landscapes, but we're not exactly able to just, drive to the rainforest, are we?
No, I know you're not exactly hopping over to the neighbouring country to go to a tropical rainforest either. You've got to get on a plane and
You've got to go
fly
pretty
a
far.
significant way.
Yeah. Having said that, Australia is huge, so it still comes with some
Yeah.
logistical challenges, especially when you're going outback. Overall, it's pretty cool that you've got everything you need within inside one country. And honestly, that's probably why con number 5 hits so hard. The fact that we'll always miss Australia.
Not just miss it, it's like a hole in my heart. It's going to be.
It's like become part of our being, and we'll never stop talking about our experiences here and how much we've enjoyed it and how much it's changed our lives. It's just so crazy to even think. We're gonna go home, we're gonna see family, it's gonna be so nice. We're gonna travel to different countries and do different things, but we'll always be thinking about Australia and the lifestyle and the experiences we had here.
And, in an ideal world, maybe we would find a way to stay here forever. But the reality is visas make it hard and they make it complicated. It's not just as easy as, I just want to stay, so I'm going to stay forever. It's a little harder and who knows?
Yeah, who knows what will happen, but I think having a stricter visa type, not allowing people to stay so easily is actually overall a good thing.
Yeah, of course.
We're not saying that's a bad thing, although I wish we could stay longer, but we understand the visa requirements, but we're just saying it's something that is going to hit us very hard. And I think to sum up this point, and I think everyone will agree with us here, as somebody visiting and as somebody coming from abroad to live in Australia, you'll never fully leave Australia behind. It's always going to be a part of you. You'll never stop thinking about it. You'll never stop missing it. And I think definitely in our experience that will happen to us.
So there you have it. That is our list of pros and cons of living in Australia as Brits.
And if you guys can relate to any of the points in this video, do let us know in the comments because we'd love to hear from you.
And of course, if you like the video, like the video.
And subscribe to the Jam channel, and we'll see you in Geelong.